Welcome to Section 3, entitled Recording Sequences. To start off, I'm going to describe to you how sequences, tracks, and MIDI channels are organized. The MPC60 can hold up to 99 sequences in memory at once. However, only one sequence may play at one time. A sequence can be thought of as a segment of multitrack tape of a predetermined length, except that it may be also set to repeat in a loop. For example, a sequence could be a repeating 2-bar drum pattern, or a 4-bar bass pattern, or it could be a 200-bar song consisting of drums, bass, and 50 tracks of keyboard data with time signature changes and tempo changes. Now, each of the 99 sequences has its own set of 99 tracks, which actually contain all of the drum and keyboard notes and other information. All of these tracks play simultaneously, just like the tracks on a multi-track tape recorder. For example, track 1 might contain the drums, track 2 the bass, track 3 the piano part, track 4 the horns, etc. Now, in order for the notes in a track to play an external synthesizer, the track must be assigned to send out its notes through one of the 16 MIDI channels. So each track has a MIDI output channel assignment. Now let's learn how to record a sequence. First, we'll record a track of drums, then we'll add some keyboard parts. First, I'll need to select an empty sequence. Now, since I've loaded in the preset sequences from disk, I'll select one of the higher numbered empty sequences, such as number 80. To select sequence 80, I type 80 and enter. Now I set the track field to 1 and the MIDI field to 16. This means that I'll be recording on track 1, and track 1 is set to play through MIDI channel 16. I've selected channel 16 because I want to record a drums track, and the MPC60's drums receive their notes on MIDI channel 16. Just like an external synthesizer, the internal drums must receive data on one of the 16 MIDI channels, and normally channel 16 is used. So if you ever want to record a drums track, just set the MIDI field to 16. The other 15 MIDI channels are used to play external MIDI synthesizers. If we don't set the time signature or number of bars, 2 bars of 4/4 will be automatically selected, and the 2 bars will be automatically set to repeat in a loop when played. Let's use that format for now. To start recording, I'll hold down the overdub key and press play start. You can hear a metronome playing quarter notes with a louder click at the start of each of the 2 bars. I'll record some drums now in time to the metronome. Because the sequence was automatically set to repeat in a loop, the drums I recorded played back when the sequence looped around. Notice also that I was able to continue adding more drums on each loop. Notice further that any timing errors I made were instantly corrected when the notes played back. The timing correct feature is automatically set to correct timing errors by moving all notes to the nearest 16th note. This can be changed. I'll explain how a little bit later. Now I'm going to overdub a 16th note hi-hat part into this track. However, instead of playing each 16th note, I'm going to use the note repeat feature. I enter overdub mode, then I hold both the timing correct key and the hi-hat pad simultaneously, varying the pressure on the hi-hat pad as the sequence plays. Watch. This useful feature of the timing correct key makes it very easy to record repeating notes. It is also possible to change the note value of the repeat. For example, 30-second note triplets is very useful for recording snare drum rolls. I'll explain further a little later on. If I wanted to erase only 1 or 2 of my notes, there's a very easy way to do this. While overdubbing, I hold the erase key and the drum pad I want to erase simultaneously, and all occurrences of that drum will be erased from the sequence during the time that both are held. Watch. I just erased 2 of the snare drums there. I can also use that same erase key to quickly erase all occurrences of a drum in that sequence. To do this, I press erase while the sequence is stopped. Then I press the drum to be erased. Then I pressed soft key 1, which, as you can see currently, has the assigned function of erase it. Errors are gone. There are many other features of the erase key, including the ability to select only selected types of MIDI events. Also, all erase modes work in the same way for both drums and keyboard tracks. See your manual for details. If I don't like what I've just recorded, I can erase it and record over it this time by using the record key, which erases existing notes as you record the new ones, just like a tape recorder. To do this, I hold record and press play start. Now, I could add additional tracks of drums, but let's go a few steps farther and add some keyboard parts to our sequence. For this demonstration, I'll use an Akai MX73 master keyboard and one Akai S900 sampler. Now, we actually have 3 S900s here, but I'm only going to use one containing 3 sounds, a bass sound, a string sound, and a solo sound on MIDI channels 1, 2, and 3, respectively. Before we start, let's quickly double our 2-bar sequence into a 4-bar sequence. To do this, I'll use the Copy All Tracks feature accessed by pressing the Edit key. This feature allows me to copy a region of bars, including all tracks, from one section of the sequence and insert it into another position. In this case, I'll copy the entire 2-bar sequence and insert the copy onto the end of the sequence, making a 4-bar drum sequence. To perform the copy, I'll press soft key 1, Execute. This feature is explained in detail in the manual. Wait! We need one more thing, a keyboard player. So at this time, I'd like to introduce a roomer in his own time, a legend in his own room, Mr. Billy Coven.
Roger, I got here as fast as I could.
We already have our drum track. To add a bass part, I'll select track 2 and set the MIDI field to 1 so that track 2 plays the bass sound. But before I enter overdub mode, I'm going to turn on the count-in feature. Now when I start recording or overdubbing, 1 bar of metronome clicks will play before the sequence starts playing. This gives me time to adjust to the tempo. Also, for this bass track, I'm going to use the note repeat feature to automatically repeat the keyboard notes at 16th note intervals. And now, Billy will overdub the bass part. Okay, at this point, I'm going to ask Billy to overdub a wrong note. Whoops! Billy played a bad note. We could erase it by using the real-time method we used in recording the drums, holding the erase key and the note on the keyboard which we want to remove while the sequence is in overdub mode. But instead, I'm going to show you how to remove a note visually on the screen by using the Step Edit feature. First, I'll play the sequence until I hear the bad note. There it is. Now I press Step Edit. The notes which exist at this position in the sequence are displayed on the screen and played, with each note parameter in a separate field: pitch, velocity, release velocity, and duration. Now I'll press the single arrow rewind key in the play record section of the panel, which will step the sequence position backwards 1/16th note at a time until I find the bad note. There it is. I could change any of its fields, but instead I'm going to delete it. Soft key. Now, when I play the sequence back, the bad note disappears. I'll talk more about the Step Edit function a little later on. Our next overdub will be a string part. I'll select track 3 and set it to channel 2 to play the string sound. And now, Billy will overdub the string sound. For our final part, let's overdub a solo part on track 4. I'll select track 4, set its MIDI channel to 3 to play the solo overdub mode. Billy? And that's how easy it is to create a sequence. Thank you, Billy.
Thank you, Roger. What a guy. What a guy.